The question is the motion relating to the standing orders relating to private business, as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Before we begin today's business, I want to make a short statement on the work of the Speakers' Conference. This House knows how seriously I take security of this House and that of its members and staff and families. And so, a year ago, I established a conference to consider the security of members, candidates, elections and the threats against them. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the many members and members' staff who contributed their time and insights to the conference. Your experience has been vital in the shaping the findings and the recommendations as outlined in the report. We published our first report in June, and today we are publishing our second and final report. Right, we now come to topical questions. Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Catherine Fuchs.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry? Oh, Lee Dillon. Sorry, I do beg your pardon. I've been given the wrong paper. I should work with the order paper. Lee Dillon.
Thank you. Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Topicals I've moved on to quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The clocks went back at the weekend and you nearly put them forward again, just at the beginning. I'm very pleased to be here answering my first set of questions as the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. I look forward to my exchanges with the Shadow Secretary of State and the other spokespeople in the House. With regard to the question, the state pension age will rise to 67 from 2028. We continue to support later life planning with help with people reviewing their health, finances and skills, including specific work coaches in our job centres for the over 50s, and consideration for the future of the state pension age is already underway as asked for under the 2014 Act.
Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I add my welcome to your new to the Secretary of State's new position. Here in my seat of Newbury, we have over 5,200 women who have been unfairly affected by changes to the state pension age. These women were wronged through no fault of their own, and they deserve justice. With a High Court hearing due in December, this could be a crucial moment for the government to finally do the right thing. So will the Secretary of State now listen to the Ombudsman's recommendations and commit to providing compensation to WASPy women?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do have to remind the honourable member that his party supported the acceleration in the rise of the basic state pension age when they were in government, and that has given rise to some of the questions he's raising today. And, Mr. Speaker, you would not expect me to comment on ongoing litigation, and I won't do that, but I can assure him and the House that we'll take all relevant factors into account when considering the process for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Previous to my election to this place, I worked for a homeless charity in Harlow called Streets to Homes. One of the cases involved a man who was homeless due to delays in getting his state pension. Can I ask how the department is ensuring delays like this aren't commonplace?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we hope that those entitled to the basic state pension receive a seamless and fast service. This is a pension that people contribute to throughout their lives, and when they reach state pension age, we of course hope that they get it as soon as possible.
Bobby Dean.
Number 2, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I'll answer this question together with questions 9 and 11. Access to work does a very important job, but current delays with the scheme and our ambition for an 80% rate of employment point to the need for reform. The consultation launched in the Pathways to Work Green Paper closed on the 30th of June. We're now reviewing all aspects of the scheme in light of the responses that we received.
Bobby Dean.
Mr. Speaker, I had a constituent come to my surgery the other week, and they felt pretty frustrated that the Access to Work scheme that once supported them was pulling the rug beneath their feet as they progressed through their career. My constituent has been a model example. He has not let his multiple neurodivergent diagnosis hold him back. He has worked hard, and with support, he's earned a promotion into sort of a deputy leadership position. But it's at this point that DWP decided to reassess him, and they have downgraded his support. Right at the moment, he felt he needed to maintain that support with his new responsibilities. So can you assure us that when these reforms come, they will look to make sure that people can be supported through progress in their career as well as into work in the first place?
Well, the honourable gentleman makes a good point. Obviously, I don't know about the details of the case that he's referred to, but it is important that access to work and our wider employment support enables people not just to get into work, but to thrive once they're there, exactly as he says.
Marshal Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Access to work, the Access to Work scheme provides vital support, and it's one of the best forms of support for blind and partially sighted workers. But when their cases or their awards come up for review, they are finding that their support and awards are being significantly reduced. Now, given the government's commitment to keeping Britain working, can the Minister tell me or explain why blind and partially sighted people are seeing their support cut? And will he agree to meet with me and other sightless organisations to see how we can address some of these challenges within the scheme?
Well, I say to my honourable friends, there's been absolutely no change in the policy on access to work, but what has happened is there has been more scrupulous application of the existing policy and guidance over the last year. That means that the awards that have been given from access to work have been more consistent, but I do know there have been cases where support has been reduced. I'm looking forward to attending the forthcoming meeting of the all-party group that she chairs on eye health, and that might perhaps give us an opportunity to discuss the issues that she's raised.
Martin Wrigley.
Mr. Speaker, on 20th of May, I met with the Minister to speak about access to work claims that were being denied, changed or reduced, all contrary to the guidelines. The Minister assured me this was a communications issue and the guidelines hadn't changed and that officials were going to fix the problem, speaking to the local job centre. The problems weren't fixed. Since then, both Dawlish Gardens Trust and the No Limits Cafe in Newton Abbot have ceased to provide access to work services because the system just isn't working, and they said every claim was being rejected, and this has been mirrored by the Access to Work Collective. I asked the Minister who changed the guidelines and why. Or are they simply being ignored to save money at the cost of vulnerable adults? If the Minister would like more information, I would be happy to meet with him again.
Very happy to meet with him again, but I can assure him the policy has not changed. In fact, we just published last week the spending figures on access to work, and spending went up 17% in the last year. It went up 32% in the year before that. So I don't know what's happened in the particular case that he's referring to, but I'd be very happy to have a further look at it.
Dave Beckham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, access to work is absolutely vital, and I agree that at the high end of the scale, sometimes it can be more expensive. But I have a very senior person in the world of theatre in my constituency, running Grey Eye Theatre indeed, and she requires access to work. But even with the right support, there's not enough for the needs that she has, because she needs a British Sign Language interpreter with her at all times. They are at the pinnacle of assessing what people need, and are very good. And I would love to invite the Minister to visit Grey Eye Theatres, because they are great at supporting disabled people into work with access to work support and without.
Minister.
Well, I am aware that a big chunk of access to work does go to interpretation for British Sign Language, and it's not unusual for people who draw on that support to hit the cap, which increased last year. It's now £69,920 per year. We clearly will look at that, along with all other aspects of the scheme, in the review that we are undertaking at the moment.
Shadow Minister Mark Garner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, back in May last year, the party opposite, whilst in opposition, was outraged to learn that average processing time for applications to the Access to Work programme was running at fully 43.9 days. In fact, so outraged was the Labour Party that they made it a manifesto pledge to tackle this very specific problem. Now, Mr. Speaker, after more than 15 months of a Labour government, it seems that far from slashing waiting times, applicants now have to wait an average of 93.6 days. That is more than twice the waiting times under the previous government. A year in government, Mr. Speaker, and the Labour Party has doubled the misery and uncertainty suffered by disabled people. Why?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're fixing the very, very serious problems left behind by the previous government. On access to work, the number of people processing the applications has been increased by 118 since May of last year. But the honourable gentleman is right, the delays are still a problem. That points very clearly to the need for reform, and that's what we're getting on with.
Shanker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want every young person in Derby. Question number 3.
Excellent. Secretary.
With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I will answer question 3 together with question 6. Skills are vital to give young people opportunity, economic growth and the country's renewal. That's why, as part of our youth guarantee, we are increasing short courses for high-demand sectors like AI and construction, expanding the number of youth hubs and partnering with sports clubs to get help to people where they are in the community. And last week we published the Skills White Paper, which sets out the next steps to train the workforce of the future.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still want every young person in Derby to see technical education and apprenticeships as first-class, not second-best routes to success. University technical colleges where students are 4 times more likely to process onto apprenticeships are key to unlocking that success. Will my right honourable friend meet with Pride Park UTC to discuss their plans to give young people in Derby real choice and real opportunity by rolling out a new technical centre in our city?
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend has spoken often about this, and I believe he started his career as an apprentice. And as a former Rolls-Royce worker, he'll have noted the Skills White Paper, and of course he knows all about the importance of that company to the City of Derby. Let me congratulate Pride Park UTC on their plans to have a new technical skills centre, and I'll ensure that he gets a meeting with me or with the relevant minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My committee's recent report on further education and skills highlights the poor level of information on vocational and technical training opportunities, including apprenticeships, currently available to young people while they are in school. And we recommend that UCAS should be expanded to provide a single portal for information on academic, vocational and technical opportunities so that every young person is aware of how they can train in the skills they need to access a good job. Will the Secretary of State consider this recommendation and work with the Department for Education to deliver it?
Mr. Speaker, I very much welcome that question. I think the Honourable Lady raises a very important point. If we are going to have equal status for HE and apprenticeship routes, we should also look at how the information about these is disseminated to potential applicants, and I hope she's pleased to hear that I've already asked the Department to begin work in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of the worries with the new regime and Skills England is the loss of independence and the guaranteed business voice written into law that exists with the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education. How will the Secretary of State ensure that business does have a voice, setting standards and making sure those standards are upheld so that everybody can have confidence in the changed system?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is quite right to say that the business voice and the employer's voice in this is very important. And when I wrote the new remit letter to Skills England, I specifically asked them to take into account the views of employers, because it is very important that in the skills system we are training people in a way that employers want and that meets the future demands of the labour market.
Ashley Fox.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the Secretary of State to his place with his new responsibility for skills. The government has recently reduced the amount of funding for Level 7 apprenticeships. Yeah. So can he tell the House what assessment his department have made of the potential impact of this reduced funding on the number of nurses in training?
Mr. Speaker, the apprenticeship and skills budget, like every other budget, does demand choices. We are choosing to prioritise the levels that we need in the economy, where the value is greatest. That does imply certain choices, and I'm confident that the choices we've made will benefit the workforce as a whole and future opportunities.
Brace.
Please, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with permission, I'll answer this question with question 23. We are determined to open up opportunities in work for people with health conditions. The Keep Britain Working Review we publish soon. In Pathways to Work, we have 1,000 work advisors supporting this group and will devolve powers so areas can shape their own joined-up local work, health and skills offer.
Thank you, Mr. I recently visited Plus in Exeter, who support people with living with physical disabilities and mental health conditions back into employment. I met some of the fantastically committed mentors who provide tailored training and support, helping hundreds of people who have been long-term unemployed into meaningful jobs, boosting their confidence and helping them to rebuild their lives. Does the Minister agree with me that under the last Tory government, disability employment was shockingly neglected, in contrast to this government's recent announcement about Connect to Work funding for Devon, which will help many more people back into the workplace?
My honourable friend is absolutely right. The disability employment gap has been stuck around 30 percentage points ever since 2010. The example that he refers to in his constituency sounds like a great example of exactly the kind of resource we want to draw on in local areas, in each local area, to make sure that disabled people have the opportunities in work that they've been denied in the past.
Amalou.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mobility is a lifeline for people with disabilities, for getting to health appointments, studying, maintaining employment and so much more. Cuts to the scheme risk increased health needs and increased unemployment, likely to cost much more than any short-term savings. Does my right honourable friend agree that before any proposed cuts, a proper impact assessment is absolutely vital?
Well, I can assure my honourable friend that there will be no changes to the eligibility conditions for the PIP mobility component, or indeed other aspects of PIP, until the conclusion of the review, which I will be leading and co-producing with disabled people, and that's expected to report in the autumn of next year.
Sir Julian Lewis.
When severe mental illness strikes, it can be devastating and totally debilitating. But the problem from his department's point of view is that its symptoms are invisible. There have been reports about people faking mental illness in order to gain benefits. Is he satisfied that his department has appropriate checks in place?
Minister.
Yes, I think appropriate checks are in place, but as I've just mentioned, we are undertaking this review of the PIP assessment, and we will need to look carefully, and we'll be doing this together with disabled people, look carefully at the way these decisions and judgments are made.
Shocker Adam.
Speaker, at a recent roundtable at the Ayers Monsell Club for Young People in my constituency of Leicester South, parents told me that their young adults with learning difficulties who volunteered for years, often with major supermarkets, still struggle to secure work. What steps is the Minister taking to ensure young people with high-functioning learning disabilities in long-term volunteering roles can access clear pathways into paid employment?
Well, the honourable gentleman raises a very good point, and he will have seen, as many will have done, recent publicity about a particular case of this kind. At the moment, the proportion of young people with severe learning disabilities, or indeed people with severe learning disabilities who are in employment, is tiny. So we're working with employers and some very good supported internship programmes in the hope of opening up opportunities for work, and I hope we're going to see many more opportunities in the future. We appointed an expert panel earlier this year to look at how better to support people with neurodivergence into work, and they're coming forward with some interesting proposals.
Chair of the Select Committee, Debbie Abrahams.
Mr. Speaker, recently Health Equity North produced an analysis for the Select Committee which revealed that just getting 5% of people with disabilities or health conditions into employment would yield cost savings of over £12 billion. So my question to my right honourable friend is what progress is being made with employers to enable these sick and disabled people who want to and are able to work, get them into employment?
Minister. Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right and raises a very important point, and I agree with her about the tremendous value for the people who benefit and for the economy more widely of opening up opportunities in employment in the way that she describes. This is, of course, is exactly what the Keep Britain Working Review, being led for us by Sir Charlie Mayfield, is looking at. And I'm looking forward, and I'm sure she'll find extremely interesting, the report from Sir Charlie, which I'm expecting to be published now quite soon.
Gideon Amos.
Mr. Speaker, 4,000 people in Somerset, many of them with disabilities, being transitioned from employment support allowance to universal credit. They were assured they wouldn't lose out, but one constituent waited 3 months with absolutely no income at all until my intervention and the department's intervention. And Somerset were also not warned of this transition, which causing huge difficulties for the county to assess council tax benefit implications. What steps will the Minister take to make sure people do not lose out, which is what they were told would happen in the transition to universal credit?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not quite sure why the news of this transition didn't reach Somerset, but the plans have been quite well publicised, I think, and we have put in place a very careful enhanced support journey for people, including quite a number of people on ESA who might struggle with the transition. So if there's a particular case, and I think he's raised one, if there are other particular cases where there are difficulties, then we are able to provide extra support to make sure that people can make that transition without hardship.
Dr. Danny Chambers.
Number 5, Mr. Speaker. There is an answer.
But Ben? Oh, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, 975,000 people are being paid carers allowance in England and Wales, including some 900 in the honourable member's constituency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all know carers give everything to care for their loved ones, and that's both physically, emotionally, and also financially. The government received the carers report 3 months ago, and under Lib Dem pressure has agreed to publish this by the end of the year. Do we know how many carers are going to be sort of unfairly penalised in the 6 months between the government receiving the report and publishing it?
Minister.
Well, I agree with the honourable member's characterisation of the degree of commitment and sacrifice that very large numbers of carers are making all across the country. As he's said, the report which we commissioned from Liz Sayce is going to be published together with the government's response to that report by the end of the year, and the question that he's asking will be addressed in that response.
Justine Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we came to office, there were almost 1 million young people not in education, employment or training, and this government is determined to offer young people proper opportunities. Our youth guarantee will ensure that 18 to 21-year-olds are learning or earning, helping to prevent them become economically inactive almost before their careers have even begun. And as part of this, my honourable friend might have seen that the Chancellor announced a jobs guarantee scheme would be part of this in the future.
Sullivan.
Speaker, with 1 in 6 young Scots not in education, employment or training, including hundreds across my constituency of Bathgate and Linlithgow, I welcome the Government's Youth Guarantee to give young people the training or job support they need. However, with stubborn youth unemployment, the Scottish Government's swinging cuts to the college sector and employers warning Scottish apprenticeships are less favourable than those in England, how will he work to ensure young people across the UK can benefit from this government's ambition?
Hear, hear. So stay.
Well, Mr. Speaker, not for the first time we have to point out that the Scottish Government has benefited from the biggest financial settlement since the introduction of devolution, and it shouldn't be too much to expect that at least a proportion of that should be spent on expanding opportunity for young people in her constituency and throughout Scotland. And Scotland has given so much to the world in terms of creativity and innovation. It is absolutely critical that the next generation of young Scots gets the chance to do the same.
Tim Farrell.
Mr. Speaker, skills boot camps in Cumbria provided a great opportunity, 60 hours of training for young people in disciplines as varied as coding, scaffolding and project management. It cost 2.7 million across the whole of Cumbria to deliver that. Chicken feed really compared to the benefit that those young people and their future employers get out of it. What conversations he had with his friends in the Treasury to make sure that scheme is maintained and continued?
Secretary of State.
Well, I'm always having conversations with my friends in the Treasury, but I do agree with him that flexibility and some short courses in the skills and training system is very important. Not everything has to be done according to the exact same formula and recipe, and I do think that shorter training courses have a big part to play.
Secretary of State Helen Wayner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I welcome the right honourable gentleman and wish him luck in his new job, especially because every day that passes under this government we see fewer people enjoying that chance to start a new job. Unemployment has gone up month after month. Nearly 1 million young people aren't in education, employment or training because of this government's policies, their jobs tax and their business red tape. Even the pension minister's former think tank agrees with me on this. There are people all around the country out looking for work, young people who want to get on in life, all those people trying to provide for their families. So please can he tell us and tell them, when will he get unemployment down?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, she has a short memory because the government that she served in presided over the biggest slowdown in living standards in recent memory, and there are 358,000 more people in work than there were at the start of the year. So we will keep supporting young people into work. We will change the system that we inherited, where we had the wrong incentives and a lack of support, and we're putting both of those things to rights.
Well, no surprises there, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister can put new faces on the front bench, but they still don't have the answers. And he criticised the previous Conservative government, but we got unemployment down to a 40-year low, a record Labour could only dream of. They don't want to be held to account, and worse still, he knows it won't work because the country is looking down the barrel of more tax rises in next month's budget, killing yet more jobs